Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Medina in for Paxton Boyd tonight. We begin with breaking news. A family of 4 with 2 children now without a home after a fire tonight in Lexington. It happened around 9 at a home on Apache Trail. The fire department says the fire was in the attic. Now the Red Cross has been called in to help the family find a place to stay. The fire department says firefighters are still on scene investigating the cause. Jordan says don't put the rain jackets away because there's potential rain coming. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah, the weekend's looking pretty rainy and stormy, but the good news, it's not a washout, so we can keep that in mind. But yeah, you will want to have the rain gear handy as you're heading out the door here on this weekend. But first, no rain to worry about on this Friday night except for mild temperatures. Sitting at 74 still here in Lexington, 72 down in Richmond, 72 from Somerset over to London. And if we throw in those feels like temperatures, we can see that they are pretty much the same as actual temperatures. So we're not dealing with that heat index that I just about sneezed, that we have been dealing with for the majority of the day. Next 36 hours, we'll see temperatures dropping throughout the 60s overnight. Tomorrow evening will be into the mid to upper 80s with rain and thunderstorms very likely. A few of those could be strong to isolated severe. And our hour-by-hour precipitation chances show that they'll really begin to increase after the lunchtime hour, continuing steadily until we get into later Sunday evening. They'll begin to finally move out. Not only are we dealing with heavy rain, but a few of those storms could be strong or locally severe. We're dealing with a level 1 risk here of damaging wind gusts, torrential rain, and isolated large hail all on the table. We'll break it down in full detail coming up in a bit in your Storm Team forecast.
Now to an ABC 36 update on the Bowling Green police officer shot yesterday at a car mart. The Bowling Green Police Department says Officer Matt Davis was shot multiple times. State police say he was taken to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. Bowling Green Police Chief Michael Delaney says Davis is listed in critical but stable condition. As ABC affiliate WBKO reports, police say the shooting happened on Russellville Road. State police also adding that a man who was also injured in the shooting died on Thursday. Now in Lexington, a man is now charged in connection to an overnight shooting inside the UK hospital parking garage. Philip Hall is charged with several counts of wanton endangerment of a police officer. University of Kentucky officials say the suspect was arrested around 3:30 this morning after a report of a man outside of UK hospital with a gun. Investigators say the suspect allegedly went into the parking garage across from the hospital on Transcript Avenue and fired 3 shots into the walls and ceiling of the garage. Now, luckily, no one was hurt. Police say the suspect was taken to the hospital for a mental evaluation. In your Nation View, next month will mark 4 years since a gunman shot and killed 23 people at an El Paso Walmart. Today, the convicted shooter was sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences. As Emily Schmidt reports, some family members of the victim say that punishment still isn't enough.
There is an irony. A woman who lost her aunt in the deadly El Paso Walmart shooting said in court this week of who was in the room where Patrick Crusius waited for sentencing.
He wanted to get rid of the Hispanic people here in El Paso, but he didn't do that. He failed. And now he's in a room full of Hispanic people. And he didn't win. We're still here and we're not going anywhere.
She and dozens of other family members of the 23 people Crusius killed spent 2 days in court providing victim impact statements.
I do feel better that I was able to talk to him and made him look in my eyes.
He's a pathetic piece of trash.
I don't forgive him. I don't think he deserves anyone's forgiveness. I don't think he deserves anything.
What do you want to happen to him?
The death penalty.
Crusius pleaded guilty earlier this year to 90 federal charges, including hate crimes for killing 23 and injuring 22 more. His attorney told a judge Crusius is mentally ill but not racist.
We're trying to understand why didn't he do this and why didn't he do that. If you have a broken brain, if your brain is broken and it's not processed and you're not under medication, it's what happened.
The federal judge's imposing of 90 life sentences doesn't satisfy all critics.
We should not have had to wait 4 years for this guy to go to jail or get the death penalty.
Prosecutors in Texas promise they will seek the death penalty. Yet that trial isn't expected to happen until 2024 or 2025. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Back here in the Bluegrass, a death investigation continues in Madison County after a body was found in a field in Berea earlier today. The coroner says the body was found this afternoon in the area of Slate Lick Road and Boone Street. The identity of the person has not been released and the cause of death has not yet been determined. Now to Jessamine County, where the search continues for a suspect after a bank robbery in Nicholasville this afternoon. Now, it happened around 1:15 at the Farmers Bank Brannan Crossing branch on East Brannan Road. Police say a man wearing a tie-dye t-shirt with blue surgical gloves, a mask, a blue hoodie, and jeans walked in and demanded money. Officers say the suspect fled on foot after receiving an undisclosed amount of cash. Police say officers are still reviewing video footage from surrounding businesses in the search for the suspect. Investigators say if you have any information that could help in the case, contact Nicholasville Police. Now in Madison County, the last chemical weapon stored at the Bluegrass Army Depot has been destroyed. The depot says an M55 rocket containing GB nerve agent, a deadly toxin also known as sarin, was destroyed earlier today. It was the last of 51,000 M55 rockets with GB nerve agent that were stored at the depot since the 1940s. Now the stockpile originally consisted of 523 tons of chemical agents. Now in June of 2019, the destruction plant team began destroying the weapons. With their destruction today marks not only the elimination of all chemical weapons at the depot, but also of all chemical weapons in the U.S. stockpile, beating a September 30th deadline to eliminate the country's remaining chemical weapons under the International Chemical Weapons Convention that took effect in 1997. Well, still ahead, utility bills going up in Bourbon County and a recall on children's bikes. What parents need to know coming up.
After the break, we'll break down the strong storms and heavy rain on the way for the weekend. But look to next week. It starts very nice, but ends with additional storm chances. We'll break all that down when we return. Stay with us.